So following that Springboks win over the All Blacks, we've had another upset. And when I say upset, I just mean that the favourite didn't win by the bookie standards. Argentina have gone and got their next win. They've beaten the Wallabies in Australia. First win in Australia, I think they said, for 35 years, which is ridiculous. They've broken that drought. 23 points to 19. The Wallabies outscored them in terms of tries. They had Guinea, Folau, and haylett-petty. The Pumas had Sanchez and Delgi, but it was kicks in the end, similar to the last game. Two away teams winning, two teams that scored more tries losing. Yeah, crazy stuff. It was always going to be a hard one after that first game because the bar was set really high by that All Blacks Springboks game. But this game, I think, tried its best at the start to live up to that kind of billing. Oh, apologies, I don't have any Pumas or Wallabies gear on, but I figure the Jaguares is kind of the next best thing. So yeah, the lead changed 4 times in that first half, and they had how many tries was it? 4 tries in the first half. It was crazy. It was tit for tat. Boffelli got a penalty. Guinea got a try, which was converted. Sanchez got a try. Folau got a try. Delgi got a try. It was just boom, 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 boom. So it was very entertaining in that first half. Although, I don't know how many people were there to see it, but it wasn't that many. I mean, that crowd was pretty bad. That stadium, I think, only seats 27-odd thousand, and there were a lot of empty seats at that stadium. Now, from what I've read, that stadium is not in the best location, and it is a bit of a mission to get to, so people are automatically kind of put off from going there. And, I mean, it does kind of seem a bit strange that they played a game in the Gold Coast a week after playing a game in Brisbane when the two places are not that far from each other. So, silly choice, maybe? I don't know. I mean, I don't really watch much league, but when it's been on, I've seen the crowds for the league team who play in that same stadium have not been stellar the last kind of couple of years as well. So, yeah, the crowd was a bit disappointing, especially seeing as how good that first half was. I mean, halftime, the stats were kind of a bit of a mix. I mean, the run meters were for the Pumas. They had 280 odd compared to just under 200 for the Wallabies. Possession and territory was pretty much 50-50. The tackling was crazy bad, especially if you're a Wallabies fan. The Argentinians' tackling percentage was 72, so they made, I think, 36 tackles. Yeah, 72 is not that great, but the Wallabies was 42% tackling, so less than half of the tackles they attempted they were making. So, I mean, it's no wonder it was such a try-fest kind of in that first half. The second half definitely tightened up a lot, but there were issues. Oh, I should give credit to that Folau try, by the way. I mean, a lot of these tries were pretty magic. Like Delgi's one came from a Matera line break, which was awesome. So if you haven't seen the highlights, it's definitely worth a look. Folau's try was a bit of individual brilliance with a jinking jiving and then a goose step, a little bit of a run. Very easy on the eye. So like I said, go have a look if you haven't seen it. But the second half definitely kind of tightened up. A few handling errors. The Wallabies had all kinds of problems at line-out time. Yeah, untidy with the boot from both teams. And then there was a bit of missed kicks. Kind of a battle to see who could miss the most kicks in the second half, because Foley missed a conversion from the try. It was the only points they scored in the second half. Sanchez missed a penalty, then Hodge missed a penalty. I think eventually Boffelli got a penalty, but it was just nobody really wanted to take this game by the scruff of the neck and kind of run with it. And there was a lot of niggle, especially in that second half. They were trying to rile up Sanchez, definitely, and he was biting into it. When he would get kind of rubbed on the head or pushed or whatever, he would bite back, even with guys a lot bigger than him. So kind of credit to him for standing up for himself as one of the smaller players on the field. But also he's kind of showing that he's a bit vulnerable to those mind games. The ref, I felt, really could have stamped that out earlier. He was pretty passive in his way of dealing with the players who were just being silly. So I felt like, that was a bit disappointing from him. So yeah, there was a knock-on at the end with Folau. The Aussies, it was an interesting one because that All Blacks game, they were attacking the Springboks at the end, attacking, and then just couldn't get it done. And it was the same deal here. At the end, the Pumas were holding on, and the Wallabies were attacking, and then they just kind of knocked it on. They had a bit of a chance to score, but didn't get it done. The Pumas' defence held. And their work at the breakdown in that second half was kind of admirable because, I mean, the Wallabies had a lot more ball in the second half to kind of nullify what the Wallabies were throwing at them. You kind of got to give the Pumas a lot of credit for that. So, like I said, 35 years, that drought is broken. A bit of a game of two halves. The first half was pretty beautiful. The second half was, not the best. There was a lot of, like I said, a lot of niggle and a bit of ill feelings against each other, which was disappointing, and the ref didn't really get a handle on it. Pocock looked pretty dejected after the game. I was kind of keen to see how he, Samu, and Tui would go. Tui, I believe, has had an incident kind of after the game. I haven't read the full thing, but some incident with a fan, so I think he's going to step back from rugby for a little bit, take a bit of a break, because, not good for him. Not good for Aussie rugby overall to lose this game. Last game of their kind of 2018 season at home in front of a poor crowd, and they get a loss. A bit disappointing. But then again, on the flip side, great for Argentinian rugby. This puts them into third still for the Rugby Championship. The Springboks, with that magic win over the All Blacks, are in second. But it's kind of all on between these three teams. I mean, you got to think the All Blacks are still going to clinch it, but yeah, between these three teams for these other kind of spots in the table they're jostling for, it's making it very interesting and looking forward. I mean, it's kind of breathed a bit of life into the Rugby Championship, these upsets. And remember, I'm saying that by who the bookies had the favourites, not trying to give any discredit to the strength of the Argentinians, who we all know have been performing very well. I should also mention that the Pumas had 2 tries denied by the TMO, so they potentially could have won this game by a bit more. One was for a forward pass and one was for a foot in touch. So they've not had much luck in that department, the Pumas. Interesting choice of uniform this time. It was a away special jersey number. It was a blue and a bit of an orange affair. So that was a first for me to see that. Someone has told me I need to buy myself a Pumas jersey. Yes, I probably should get myself a Pumas jersey at some point, because I've got a box and an All Blacks and a Wallabies one now. But from memory, the jersey isn't that expensive, but shipping it to New Zealand from Argentina does cost an arm and a leg. So I will look into it, but no promises at the moment, I'm afraid. Despite their big win, congratulations to them. Like I said, 4 changes in that lead changes in that first half, entertaining. Second half, a bit of a letdown, but overall, very interesting weekend for the Rugby Championship. I look forward to seeing, I think the next game for the Argentinians is to host the All Blacks. That should be a cracker. With I'm hoping a lot of fans going to see that one with their team kind of on a bit of a high, having the world's best team come to town. And yeah, again with the box, see if they can kind of match those performance levels against the Wallabies. The Wallabies are going to have to show us something else, because it's not quite got going for them, this Rugby Championships. It's kind of been stuttering and not really got to full fluidity, so we'll have to kind of see if Checker has got that magic formula to get things right. You guys let me know your thoughts on the game. I forgot to mention full-time stats. Aussie had more possession and territory. Tackle rate for Australia was much better in that second half, up into the 70s, which is still not fantastic, but better than the 40s. Argentinian lineout was 100%, which is pretty admirable. The Aussie one wasn't too bad as well, but there were a few key problems with it at kind of key moments where they just got it wrong. But anyway, you guys let me know your thoughts on the game, and I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.